the first thing we realize is in order to express the title of property on an estate, the governing instrument is a will. So we created a will, and out of the will we appointed the executor, the general executor. The general executor, the office of the general executor, which is that highest military office, so that now we can make the directives and give the orders in regards to the estate, and our estate doesn't have to be considered abandoned. Plus, where do we get our authority? Well, where did the government get their authority? Through government, through the law of agency, through the law of constructive trusts is where they got their authority to administer the estate. We got our authority through the highest governing document as results to estates, and that's the will. The will directing the affairs of the testator of the estate. His will, his desire is for the life of and after the death of the person, that all powers over the estate property be executed by the executor, and he appoints none other than the Doe John Alex as the executor for the estate. And then he appoints successor executors, and then he goes and records this will and testament so he can get a county deposit safekeeping number on his true copy of the will and testament that appoints the executor for the estate, for all proof, to be that probate and court document, and all proof that you are the executor. More higher than a testamentary letter, right? I kind of stumbled upon that because, when you go record your will, right, you bring a certified copy, or you just bring a true copy of it, they're going to stamp your copy received with the safe, and they're going to give you all the safekeeping information. So that's a very powerful document, whether you call it public record or private record. It allows one to show and prove in real time that they are the executor for the estate, and that really can't be challenged. And why? So once you establish that you're the executor of the estate because you have evidence of your acknowledgement, acceptance, and you have proof of the last will and testament on deposit, right? This is why we do this will and testament as the first instrument here, right? Last will and testament. This is basic. Just the last will and testament of John Alex Doe. The same name as the estate, because that being the estate that they set up, and we're creating a will for that person or a will for that estate. We go to General Post Office. Why am I saying General Post Office? Because we're trying to keep it out of the district. When you start traversing zip codes, you're going into the district, you're going into administration, you're going into military occupation of the executive branch of government by way of the post office. So we're dealing with the common law where we're not under occupation because we're not bankrupt. Those of us who are not bankrupt, who were not a bankrupt nation. So this is why the domicile, and that's another thing, I didn't say address. Generally, you get a will, they may talk about address or the residence, who was a resident of whatever. It's very important that even when we speak in everyday terms, we begin to know the definitions of words and terms, and we use the right ones. So important is go look up the domicile versus an address versus a location and a residence, and we use the proper word. So the domicile is the General Post Office, I should have said whose address of domicile is General Post Office, Glendale Territory, California Republic, United States of North America. I use the term United States of North America because from what I understand is that is where the General Post Office was set up. They referred to it as United States of North America. And the United States of North America is the result of the international relationship of the government body here. That's what I want to call it, because there's like a silent hidden government that's still here, even though people may say, oh, the government doesn't exist. No, it actually does, because it's still intermeshed in the world affairs because of the treaties that are still in place that apply to people. So it does exist, but it's at a time where we have to learn how to enforce these instruments, the governance that's here. Many people will say the government doesn't exist because they're completely oblivious of how or even the steps to take when it comes to self-governing, because a government is a complex instrument. It's not simple, and we haven't been taught how there's parts of the government where elected officials act on behalf of the government, which is like executive branches of government. But then there's the other, like they say, the fourth role of government, which is the people interacting or directing the affairs of government through administrative procedure and things like that. This is why a lot of people say that there's no government, because they don't understand how to interact with the government through administrative procedure and to use treaties, affidavits, and such as tools, right? So that's what we're demonstrating here, but you have to be sharp when you do, because you don't want to void out your own contract. So the domicile is General Post Office. We don't use any zip code. Or you may say, well, why is there a zip code on the screen? Well, when you put something in brackets, it's not really in that contract. And not only on top of that, we're using 91201 as a code identifier for what they want to call as a city or a district, but really it's just a location. We're just giving them a location. So we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a 9-digit routing number for the location. This is the location, but the activity 9999 or that number lets them know that this is general delivery. So this is just showing you where to deliver this, but we're not using any postal services or anything like that, because this is under the United States of America. We're doing official business for the estate. I hereby nominate, constitute, and appoint Doe L. John Alex, whose domicile of origin is whatever the domicile is, and I put non-domestic, California Republic. You know, I like using, again, the United States of America, because for my research, and not to get all off the topic, the United States of North America is present day within the Kingdom of Morocco, just by the arrangements of the international body of law. And that's not for everybody. It depends on your nationality, it depends on your status as a citizen or a national, and it depends on your domicile of origin, which is a matter of election. So whether you domicile within the United States, or you domicile in the United States of Morocco, or you domicile in the present Moroccan Empire, or what's known as the Kingdom of Morocco, which is not always restricted to a geographical location. You know, so that turns your business into whether it's domestic or international. A lot of it depends on who you are as the trustee for the trust, or as the executor conducting the business for the estate. Right? So this is why, again, as we said before, nationality and things of that matter is important when it comes to correcting your status. Although what we're doing for status correction is not just limited to nationality. We're taking all these different things into consideration. So that last will and testament, you go record it. Now, it's always important that you have the 2 witnesses on there. Must be 2 witnesses on there. And when you record it, you might be met with some resistance. So let me just talk about that real briefly. They may ask you, they're going to say all kind of things. There's going to be things that's said that just doesn't even really make sense. I've been told on occasion that we won't put a will on deposit, or we won't even put a will in the safe keepings unless the person is dead. They told me this out their mouth, right? So they usually shoot something out at you right at the very beginning to make you turn around. Okay, I'll tell you how I handled that, because that one stumped me. I was like, how the hell am I going to get around this? Because when you tell them the person is dead, then they say, okay, this needs to move into probate, and we got to probate the estate or whatever, something crazy like that. And you'd be like, man, I just came to put the will on deposit. You tell me the person's alive, then they be like, oh, well, we don't record that, which is silly, because they do record wills for safe deposit. So what I'm saying is what I'm saying even now. Don't let that confuse you. They may say something to throw you off or not to make sense, right? That has been, you always have to dance with these public officials that are working or that are at war. Actually, they're people who may be pirates occupying offices of the United States that don't know the Constitution. They don't understand the branches of government or how the law works, or even how the policy works in the offices they stay in. So Sometimes they're going to be here asking you these crazy questions. What I found is the best way is just say, yeah, yeah. When you're walking in to record a last will and testament, and they start throwing these objections at you to make you to agree to something, which is a disposition for why you're not recording. The other person has to be dead. Just be like, yeah. And then if they, right after that, they say, but the person has to be alive. Yeah. Or just say, yeah, whatever they say, yeah, that's the way it is, yeah, whatever it is, yeah, whatever it is. And just get the will recorded. They may ask you, what is the date of death? I think I gave them, when they asked me what was the date of death, I was kind of thrown. Because I know a birth is a death. I gave them the birth certificate date. And then there was a big problem because they were like, oh, well, you know, that had to be whatever. At the end of the day, I ended up telling the people like this, hey, listen, I answered your questions the best way I could. I can't, you know, make any determinations about this instrument. Either you're going to record this last will and testament, or you're going to reject this last will and testament. And if you're going to reject it, provide me with the rejection letter for the grounds upon which you rejected it, and I will leave here. And at that point, I refused to answer any further questions other than the necessary questions that I had already given them. The things about the answers that I gave them that did not understand, I didn't want to argue and go back and forth with them because I realized it was a trap. The reason the answers I gave them didn't understand is because the circumstances that they gave me did not make sense. The questions that they gave me didn't make sense. They were only traps to prevent me from recording this last will and testament. I knew what was important was getting this deposited and having my copy stamped received with the safekeeping's information, because I know that the last will and testament is important, not the BS questions that they asked me just to stand in the way and prevent me from getting this instrument recorded. You know, the main one that really stumped me, so that's just to let you know what you're dealing with. They said the person has to be dead before they accept the will into safekeepings. The person already has to be dead, is what they told me. They started out with that position. There was nowhere I can go from there except for argue with them. And arguing would have ended up in some result of why they would not record it. So when they said that, I just shook my head and said, that's all I did. So just think about that, man. The tricks, the things that you will go through trying to correct your status. I'll talk about some more things that I've been going through with the post office, things that I've went through. Alright, so for the last part of this video, I wanted to show you, this is the last will and testament. So first thing you'll notice is there's a receipt here. Let's see what's on the receipt first. The receipt has the batch number, the sequence number, something called a card number. It has the invoice number. It has the clerk number, the clerk that intook this. It has an approval code. That's on the receipt. On the official receipt, that's the customer copy. Here's what the official receipt says. Superior Court of California, 111 North Hill Street, Los Angeles, California. It has the receipt number, and it has a long sequence number, transaction date. It has the payor, General L. Sylvester Moore, General Post Office, Glendale Territory, Glendale, California. It's got some misspellings on here. It has the it has a safekeeping's number, safekeeping will of Moore, Sylvester Dealand, probate delivery of will, and it has some important things. Probably shouldn't have showed that. But anyways, then they give you another official page where you see the same thing. And now for, and this is the same instrument that we just looked at, right? Same instrument that we looked at, except for it's executed. Remember I said you bring a original copy, or you know, when you execute it, you sign two. Preferably, you sign two. It's okay, you know, preferably you sign two. Execute two instruments so that your true copy can be on bond securities paper. This is pretty much the only instrument that I do on legal size. paper 8.5 by 14. But then you bring that, once again, we sign through the stamp making us the Postmaster General for this particular estate. Now, also, I choose this stamp. You know, there's the Fox stamp. I choose this stamp. This is the Friendship with Morocco stamp. Notice it says 1787. That's the original treaty all the way to 1987 where they issued this. And then notice the number, 22, right? I believe 22 always deals with identity, nationality, and things of the such. Just like the status A222, I don't remember the full number, but anyway, these are some stamps that you can order those off of eBay. And so then, you sign through the stamp. And if you want to better understand that, you can go to thttrust.org, go into your post office information, and you'll see that. Anyway, that's the last will and testament. Now, this is important, of course. This will be something that you keep, let's say, with your binder of important documents, which will probably also include your recorded memorandum of trust or affidavit title and your UCC-1. So again, you may be met with some type of resistance. When you do that, get through that doorway. Now, the other thing about recording a will is it's going to be one of the easier things because you can record that will anywhere. You could deal with the county where you are. For example, I called the county of birth where I was to record this will, and then they was like, yeah, you bring it on down. I was like, well, listen, I'm not in that county, so I'm over here, so how can I send it? So they sent me this envelope, and they told me to put the will in this envelope, but not to seal it. I would not regard their instructions as far as not sealing it, because usually, from my experience, there's always someone that wants to stand as a gatekeeper, particularly when you're doing something like this. They only expect to see an estate attorney or somebody come in with the will. So I would actually seal it, and I would complete all the information that they ask for on the front, such as the will of, and then the name. They want the after death of the above named person. This will is to be delivered upon demand to. Then you put the name, the address, zip code, phone number. If for any reason this will is not demanded within 30 days of my death, this will is to be delivered to. It has name, whatever. Then it says deposited by. It has signature and printing of the name, date of deposit. Because I feel it has all the information here, when they say yeah, and don't make sure you don't seal it up, I'll just say I'll send it back to them registered mail, and I will put the money order or whatever it costs, because now the fact is it is sealed. So now you don't get to pull the extra information that wasn't required in the first place. You either have to accept it or reject it. I can't, our team can't, we can't get through those hurdles for you. So this is why you're going to have to be diligent in what you do and try again. So anyways, that concludes, I guess, the will and testament. Next, I'm going to talk about the executor notice of the change of the mailing address and update of the mailing location.